fan-made content for this Premier League season.
Bringing that real fan experience. Want to see some crazy?
Wherever you are in the world,
bringing you the latest opinions
and fan reactions.
Back again.
Welcome to FanPark Live.
Brand new shows every week.
UFF are going hard this year, you know. So make sure you lock in.
Come on!
Real fan opinions brought to you by Wash and Go. Hello and welcome back to FanPark Live. I'm Terry Flewis from the Football Terrace. Chelsea with maybe the goal of the season from Eden Hazard. Knock out a team that some regard as the best team in the Premier League right now. Some have even said the best team in Europe and the world right now. I have said that. But Liverpool crash out of another tournament, another trophy that Jurgen Klopp is not going to be able to put his paws upon. Arsenal are smashing it against Brentford. We're also going to talk a little bit about West Ham. They are 8-0 victors tonight. 8-0! West Ham. Team right down the bottom of the league winning 8-0. And Spurs have just gone 2-1 up. 0203 606 0315. We want to hear from Scousers. We want to hear from Chelsea supporters. Arsenal fans out there. We want to hear about everything going on in the Carabao Cup tonight. Joined by my illustrious guests, regular figures as always, Chris Kane and of course Neeks from Neeks Sports. Evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Good evening. Hazard has cheered me up no end. Because
just on that goal from Hazard,
it's been...
How good is that goal?
Well, put it like this. Mo Salah won the Puskas Award.
Yeah.
And for me, that was better. Now, I don't think Mo Salah should have won the Puskas Award. But that goal was better.
Of course it was. I mean, Chris, your reaction, you ran out of the room.
Yeah.
You're gone for like 10 minutes celebrating.
Yeah, I wasn't even celebrating. Like, for me, do you know what? With Hazard, I've been, I'm not going to say a critic of him. I just think that a lot of people were a bit too quick to put him on the same level as, you know, the other greats in current football, you know, Messi and Ronaldo. And I've always felt like, whilst he probably has as much talent as, you know, some of the best players, I think the only player that is outright more talented than Hazard is Messi. I think in terms of talent, I put him up there with Ronaldo and Neymar. In terms of sheer talent.
Yeah.
But he never performed on their level. But I think after this World Cup campaign and what he done for Belgium, I think he was arguably their best player alongside Kevin De Bruyne. And he's, you know, touched this Premier League season without much preparation in that. And he's really playing like someone who considers himself,
he seems like he's got a real
elite. Like I feel like it doesn't matter who was on the pitch, but Messi, Ronaldo, whoever, he can play up to that level. So that goal for me, whilst I was shocked, and it's a 10 out of 10 goal. Like, you can't really dispute any. There's nothing about that you can take away from. It's nice to see. I'm a fan of talent, and talent for me, I like to see perform at that level.
Yeah, just phenomenal. It really is. And Hazard, you know, started the season off brilliantly. I think that's his 6th goal in 5 games, which is outrageous. Liverpool fans are saying the first goal was offside.
Shut up, man.
It wasn't offside. They checked it with VAR and it was still onside. So, calm yourself. That comment here actually says, lol, Chelsea got lucky. Simple as. First goal wasn't even a free kick. And the only reason Hazard scored that goal was because we were playing Moreno. No, hang on. In fact, it was Naby Keita.
Yep.
It was Naby Keita that left him. That got stripped like Debbie Moore from Striptease. Got ripped to shreds. And then he goes on to score a goal. Like, you're blaming Moreno because he's easy target.
And they've been blaming him since that Sevilla game in the European League.
Watch Naby Keita literally just walk. It's Eden Hazard. Why are you walking? Why are you not putting... Trip the geezer up. Do something to stop him. Nothing at all.
News Justin on the comments. Apparently, Watford have equalised. I'm not 100% sure.
Let's just... they have equalised. Yes. Wow.
At the MK Stadium. Which
wow.
is
2-2 in that game.
Nice.
Amazing. Just a roundup of the results tonight. Arsenal were victors 3-1 over Brentford. We obviously know Chelsea knocked out the best team in Europe, Liverpool, tonight 2-1. Nottingham Forest beat Stoke 3-2. West Ham with the performance for me of the round with an 8-0 victory over Macclesfield. And of course Spurs Watford 2-2 as we speak. Jerome, ready with any calls? Let's jump into some calls, see what these fans have got to say.
I don't want to hear people chatting shit today. Yeah, like let's actually talk some proper stuff today. Callers, Let's do this, man. Let's talk proper football to them, man. I don't want to hear no banner. Actually, no, I want to hear banner, but I don't want to hear people just shouting.
Gentlemen, what do you reckon?
I look good.
Man, I need trim. That's what I need, bro.
Your
I need a trim right now.
shadow looks like a sweat patch.
Hazard, isn't it?
I need a trim, bro.
Hello, welcome to FanPark Live. What's your name?
Yo, my name is John, man. Shout out to Chris Kane still.
My guy John, what go on?
I know, big things, man.
Let's talk football, bro. This guy talks proper stuff still.
Lovely, mate. What's on your mind, John? What do you want to say, brother?
Basically, I'm not even going to lie to you. Yeah, they almost had us, the first half, and like we were slipping. Decision making was just not on point. We're giving foolish balls all over the place. Fabregas was cool initially, but all they showed, the guy tired and just started throwing loose passes. Holding the ball on the edge of the box. What's that about? You're a register, man. You're basically the last line of defense a lot of the time against high pressure teams. You can't be playing like that. A lot of the time we showed that we're just moving the ball from side to side. We had no incisive quality to exploit gaps that we create by having possession. The fact that we didn't have incisive quality was actually got shown up by Hazard, because as soon as he came, we looked a bit more dangerous. Also, our hold-up play was just garbage, man.
But John, you mentioned the first half. I felt Chelsea were the better side in the first half, first and foremost.
Yeah, we had more possession.
And Morata had 2 good chances.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of hold-up play, you understand, when you're playing this possession game, you got to at least be able to hold up the ball for 4 or 5 seconds, man. He can't even hold it up. A lot of the time, he's trying to dribble and lose his possession.
Yeah, I agree with you there, John. I think when you look at Morata, he's just not, for me, he's just not a Chelsea player. I don't think he can cope with English football.
I wouldn't even say he can't cope with English football. I just think that Chelsea isn't the right situation for him. That's not to say that Chelsea have not put him in a position. I think not all the time, but Chelsea have done enough in terms of setting up their team where it's like, listen, man, whether you want to play on the last shoulder of the defender or whether we need you to roam a little bit and hold up the ball where we need you to, they have, to an extent, they actually have played to his strengths. I just think that it's just not the right situation for whatever reason. That's not to say that he can't be at another club in England and succeed.
I get your point. I was listening to Patrice Evra. He was on a Sky show the other day with James Corden, and he was talking about why he struggled in the Premier League. And he said, he had to become stronger. He said, you have to be powerful to play in this league. And when I look at Morata, I don't necessarily have an issue with his footballing ability. Yeah, he's skinny, but he's weak.
He looks like a short youth, man.
He gets bullied. He gets legitimately bullied, and that's my issue. Why I don't think he can cope in the Premier League, because he just gets bullied off the ball too easy.
Yeah, look at the difference between him and Diego Costa. Diego Costa could at least get hold the ball strong enough that they would have to foul them to get him off the ball and give us set piece opportunities. Morata just gets picked up easily by defenders. You should not be getting bullied by Matip, with all due respect.
Yeah, I get that.
Big man striker.
Wait, what? Matip's like 6'5" and he's pretty strong, bro. I don't think that's a.
But Morata's 6'2". You get what I'm saying?
No, listen. My thing is, I hear you. I think if there's one area of his game that we should be criticizing, I think the number one thing is finishing. Number one, his finishing is the number one thing that you have to criticize him for.
Okay.
But I get the impression it's more of a mentality thing from Morata. I don't think he has the mentality for what's required of him at Chelsea right now. I think that's somewhere, as opposed to his physique, because there's other strikers that have been successful in the Premier League that don't have his athleticism, that don't have his strength.
That is true, man. Also, I just want to give a shout out to, Emerson. Emerson, to be fair, he wasn't he wasn't out of this world, but he was competent a lot of the time. Even apart from the 2 times he let Shaqiri into space, he was very good on the ball, very good at running at players, very good at getting up the pitch, which is what we lack a lot of the time because, Marcos Alonso is not busy. Aspilicueta is becoming very worrying, man, because, offensively, he's not helping out much because he got, the pace of an accountant. And defensively, he's getting, outside.
He's the pace of an accountant?
An accountant, I'm dead.
I'm an accountant. I'm pretty quick. Thank you very much.
Man, for professionally victimized. John, I've got a question for you. You are a Chelsea fan, right? I'm not imagining that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was at first when we turned on the Chelsea game and I saw obviously Fabregas playing the number 4. I was a bit surprised, but then obviously I remember Jorginho obviously plays the 4 as well.
Yeah, but Jorginho been playing the whole season, man. If he keeps on playing, his hamstrings.
I've got a question for you. I want to get your thoughts on something. Obviously, we know that Fabregas gave away the ball for Liverpool's goal. In that defensive position.
Yeah.
What do you think of Sarri's decisions to play literal registas at the number 4 position, and obviously starting the game with essentially 3 attack-minded centre midfielders? Do you think that's going to bring success to Chelsea over the season?
That was very dodgy, man. But you gotta understand, he hasn't got enough defensive midfielders to cover, if you think about it, because Kante is the one that you consider is solidly defensively minded in the squad right now. I mean, if you play Drinkwater, you're not going to have the high tempo pass you're going to have, so you got to risk it and play that attacking, those attacking three midfielders, to be fair. Or it's just going to be staccato. Drinkwater hasn't got the imaginative passing that Fabregas would have, but the risk with Fabregas is that you risk getting loaded and pressured really, really highly in midfield. That's why Chelsea needs like a reserve regista that has defensive qualities, i.e., someone like a Seri, or even that's why, or even an Ampadu. Ampadu has defensive sensibility.
He needs to play.
He knows
I hear really good things about Ethan Ampadu. He knows when to push the ball forward, pass the ball forward, and he also can play centre back as well. That's why Ampadu is very crucial for Chelsea.
John, final question for you: are you happy though that you've won? I know you've been quite critical of things tonight, but you're happy you've won, right?
Of course. I'm always happy with the win, man. And just when I get critical, it's not because I'm trying to be sour.
No, I get that.
But I just see these gaps. That a team that was on its game would ruthlessly exploit. Rather, that's what I'm saying. We go play Man City like that.
Yeah.
We go play Man City like that. It's mash up.
I get what you're saying, mate. John, an amazing call, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
I just want to make a quick point on that, because I think it's very important what you said about being critical even when you're winning. In sports, unfortunately, and I get it, like it's human nature. When there's victory, people find less reason to critique because we won. But I feel like when teams lose, fans will jump on.
I understand that,
and I think what we have to start getting into the mentality of is even when we win, because managers do it all the time, and I don't understand why fans don't look at that angle too. Is like there's still things that we can improve on.
Yeah. Some managers get criticised.
Yeah, when another Chelsea fans, hopefully we'll get another Chelsea fan calling. What I'd like to ask, and if you're a Chelsea fan that's watching this, try to think about an answer before you call in, is how much influence do you think today's result is going to have on the weekend's game? Like tactically speaking, mentally speaking,
mate,
in terms of even
big. I
think
it's going to be big, mate. I spoke about this in my preview for tonight's game, and I was saying how this was a really important game for Liverpool.
Because Chelsea are at home.
Of course, and that's the point. And I said that it's important for Liverpool to win. One, because I think Jurgen Klopp needs a trophy with everything he's doing there. And it's putting all your eggs in the Champions League or Premier League basket could be dangerous. But equally, you go into this game now against Chelsea, having been beaten by them midweek away from home. Chelsea will start with at home. You're now going away. You're going to go up against Chelsea's best team. There's that frailty that you've been beaten by them already. And someone said here, 8 changes made by Liverpool, lots of players that haven't played a game.
Yeah, I look at one of the comments, goes, Klopp doesn't care about the League Cup. Look at the players he had out. I mean, like Chelsea barely had their first team out.
You've got Fabinho, you spent X amount of money on. Keita, you spent X amount of money on.
Let's look at that. In terms of how it can affect them, though, Liverpool go and lose at Stamford Bridge and lose 2 on the bounce. It could damage them. But let's look at the team of Chelsea tonight. So Willie in goal doesn't start. Cahill and Christensen, I don't think they've been starting games this year. Emerson at left back hasn't been starting games. Barkley started the season, but has fallen out of the team now.
He's been in and out. Yeah.
Fabregas, a bit of in and out.
Well, I don't think
he's
not been in the team. Okay, I didn't.
Cahill could start on the weekend because I think Rudiger might be.
Yeah, but he hasn't been a starter this year. You've got Kovacic. Yeah, he's played and been great. And then you've got Moses and Morata. They haven't been playing as of late.
Anyway.
And then you've got Willian, who has. So you've got 2, say maybe 3 players that have been. So again, if you take 2 or 3 away from 11, that also equals 8. But I think on a mentality level, it puts Chelsea in the commanding position come Saturday.
Well, yeah, it gives them. It's an advantage. It's not the only advantage. It's an advantage. But yeah, callers definitely have a think about that. I'd like to get your opinion on it, because what I find interesting is because it's the League Cup. That game, if we just switched on, we didn't know what trophy was being played for there. You wouldn't know if that's a Champions League tie. Obviously, the team selection would maybe indicate what kind of trophy
the interesting
we're in.
thing is when people come
the tempo was definitely that of not a League Cup game that we imagine it to be. It's not the average League Cup game.
And you saw, this is the thing, right? It's what I say about to fans that act like they don't care. I never believe them. I think that
I cared yesterday.
When I look at the players and they concede those goals, you look at the faces of those Liverpool players when the goals went, and you look at Klopp's reaction. You can't fake that. Yeah. That's genuine annoyance that you conceded the goals out of the
when
tournament.
Sturridge missed the open goal, Klopp didn't say thanks.
Okay.
I don't want to win it.
You've saved us a few more games.
No, he was angry.
They want to win everything. They're competitive.
And another angle is, why wouldn't you want your team to be competitive in every game?
Exactly.
Like the best sportsmen, the best athletes, they are the most competitive. They can be playing FIFA at home with their mates, and they're gonna want to win. You don't think if they're out there on the grass with their boots on that they want to win those games too, especially if it's actually worth something. So even if it's something that the players obviously are all competitive, and as a fan, you should want to win every game.
And when you rotate, that should make the players on that pitch even more competitive. Because if I come into that team tonight, I want to play so well that I'm in the starting lineup for a Premier League game. Again, if you've got elite mentality, that's what you go in there and do. Let's get some calls on Javern.
Any Arsenal fan? We got in the comments. Everyone's talking about Lacazette. Obviously, he came off the bench and scored today.
Yeah, definitely want to talk about Lacazette.
Hello, welcome to FanPark Live. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Ramon from Neat Sports.
Oh. Ramon, what's going on? Let everyone know who you support, brother.
I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm a very happy Arsenal fan.
Good. How impressed were you with your boys tonight?
Yeah, relatively impressed, especially considering, seeing defeats from yesterday and thinking, we need to just get over the line. Yeah, we've done quite well.
What league got Brentford in? I need to check. Sorry, Ramon. Do you think? Let me check that. Asking questions I can answer myself.
I'm happy with the result. We played very well today, I thought. It was a different side. Good to see Welbeck get on the score sheet, get his confidence up, and the team's playing quite well at the moment. That's another win on the bounce for us. So.
When you went 2-0 up, I was mainly watching the Liverpool game, but I was watching the Arsenal one as well. It looked like Brentford were putting Arsenal under a considerable amount of pressure, I would say. Obviously, they got the goal to make it 2-1, and it seemed like they were pressing a lot in the latter stages of the game anyway, before Lacazette put it to bed.
Yeah, we controlled the game at 2-0, I thought, going up into 2-0, and then all of a sudden, we let them have a bit of a spell of possession on the ball. They got the free kick, scored a good free kick, and then it was like, sort of nervy towards the end. Well, I guess we wasn't really tested. I say nervy. They had possession, they had the ball, but we had a couple of chances towards the end. Iwobi scored as well, ruled out for offside. So, towards the end, Lacazette that he came on. But the fact that we had to bring on Lacazette, had to bring on Torreira just to sort of see it out, just shows, I think, one, because it's interesting seeing Emery's team towards Wenger's team in the cup before, and being at the Emirates, seeing Wenger's team, literally the whole bench is all kids. Literally the whole bench, all from Nketiah right up to the goalkeeper, all kids on the bench. Whereas this side, the only young player was Nketiah, and the rest of it, Lacazette, Torreira, Ramsey came on as well. So it shows that Emery wants to take this competition quite serious. He did field a second string squad, but overall I thought we've done very well, and it's always nice to see your competition fall at the wayside as well. So nice to see Liverpool drop out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watch out for Lampard and Derby. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, Derby, best team in this competition. I tell you. Listen, mate, Ramon, take care. Thanks for the call, mate.
Nice one, mate. Cheers,
mate. Thank you. Look, Arsenal done well on their nice little run, and I think just keeping the winning going, keeping the goals going in. I'm glad Lacazette got his goal tonight. I rate that Frenchman so much. I mean, he come here last year. I think he started well. He was playing under Wenger in the end of the Wenger era, where things were an absolute mess. Sorry, I didn't hear that. Javan was talking. What? Oh, we've got a Liverpool fan on the line. I want to hear from a Liverpool fan. Yeah. Here we go.
He's won a few games in a row.
This could be hazardous.
And I think let's get a call first.
Hello, welcome to FanPark Live. What's your name?
Yeah, hi mate. My name's Jish.
Hello, mate. How you doing? You're a Liverpool fan, I believe.
Yeah, man. Liverpool all the way.
Yeah, good. How disappointed are you that you've been knocked out of the tournament at home tonight by your rivals Chelsea?
Yeah, you know what? Very disappointing. I really wanted to win today because we haven't won anything for a bit now, and we've got a really good squad this season, and I really, really want to win something more this season, but we didn't. And you know what? Fair play to Chelsea. That Hazard goal, I agree with you guys from earlier. It's a bad boy goal still. So, yeah, all good.
I mean, did you agree with the amount of rotation that Jurgen Klopp sort of instructed tonight? Sort of the 8-9 players that were being changed?
I don't. I think he should have rotated about between 3 and 5, maybe, no more than that. We should have kept the front three because I really wanted to win this cup. I mean, just imagine lifting something up in February. That's what I was looking for. And usually, like when a team wins the Carling Cup, they go on to have a really good season. So I really wanted to win it. So, but disappointing. But do you know what? We lost to a world class goal. So
I think he's very correct. I know he's not the dog's bollocks at the moment, Jose Mourinho, but he's always stressed the importance of winning something early in the season, as early as possible. His Chelsea teams, when he was his first stint at Chelsea, were always strong in the League Cup. Up until the final, I remember they played Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, and he had a very strong team at Arsene Wenger. Even the final was playing the second choice players, and Chelsea dominated the league in those both
Pep
2
Guardiola
years.
did it last year.
Same thing.
I think their season was amazing last year. Man City record-breaking Premier League season, but their season was made even better by picking up a League Cup as well. You're winning 2 trophies in a season. And I look at Liverpool, and I think that when you're on fire, I've said it in my preview, I think you're the best team in Europe, arguably the best team in the world right now in terms of current form from the back end of last season until now. But you need to start adding trophies to that. It's nice to hear a Liverpool fan not get all defensive over that and actually, talk like an elite level fan of an elite level club. I want to win trophies. I think that's the right attitude to have.
Terry, you know what, man? I'm screwing because I really wanted to win like 8-9 games in a row. Really wanted to keep that momentum going. And I agree with you guys. I think Chelsea have got a slight advantage. They've got that mental advantage and knowing that they've actually beaten us like a couple of today. And in 72 hours, they're going to play us again. And it's like, I don't know, it would have been great to beat them today. But you know what? I also want to say well done to West Ham. I live in East London anyway, and they're my second team, and seeing them win 8-0 today, so well done to Hammers.
East London,
as well.
isn't it?
Yeah, we're actually all East London. So I'm Leytonstone.
I'm Leyton.
Hey, no, don't get twisted. I'm from South. I just live in
you
East.
moved to East.
He's an East London boy. He's East London boy.
Chill. You might.
No
this
one
is
wants
going
to-
live, you know.
Bruv, I know it's live.
I gotta go back to Croydon at some point. I go back to South,
Well, that's
Streatham,
actually
Brixton at some point.
Yeah,
like,
but
not because you want
north of that river, bro.
Oh my God.
The smells nice, like
Yo,
everything, bro.
Are you? The smells nice. I don't know what kind of East. Maybe that's the Shoreditch East or something.
Man, that pollution.
Just because I'm white, I'm in Shoreditch. I'm East London Hackney boy. That's where
I got one question quickly for the caller. I know we interrupted you talking about West Ham. They had a brilliant win, but just take it back a little. I'm looking at some of the comments on YouTube, and obviously everyone's going to be talking about Hazard, Salah, Hazard. For you, who's the better player? For me, it's not even it's a no-brainer for me.
Don't insult me by even asking that question.
For me, I'm a Liverpool supporter, and for me, I'll have to say Hazard edges it. Maybe I reckon Hazard will get about 35 goals this season at all competitions, and I reckon Salah will get about 27.
That's very specific.
But Salah got 44 last year. I reckon he'll get 27 this year. But I reckon Hazard will get about 35.
But if Salah, how much goals did Salah get in all competitions last year?
44.
44. So if he gets 44, then 27. And Hazard gets 35, considering last season he didn't get, let's say, 30. That consistency that Salah showed over 2 years is something that Hazard, I would say, hasn't yet done. So wouldn't that put Salah a bracket above Hazard if your prediction comes through at the end of the season?
Yeah, but the thing is, like last season, a lot of people didn't really know much about Salah. This season, I watched all the games. They're doubling up on him. But the thing is, that's giving someone like Firmino and Mane more time to score goals. So if Salah don't get you, Mane will. So I'm happy anyway. And I'm really happy that we haven't got Ings and Solanke anymore, and we replaced them with like Shaqiri and Sturridge. So I think we've got more quality. The level doesn't drop that much.
Exactly. It's not always about developing people, making them better. Sometimes you literally have to go out and buy quality. That's the way. That's the way the elite boys do it.
No, do you know what? Yes, you've got Jose Mourinho syndrome, whatever you call it. There's also Liverpool derangement syndrome as well. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely, mate. Take care of yourself, brother.
Great, cool.
Javon, hold off on the calls for a few minutes because I want to have this conversation now. What's this on there, right? So Hazard, let's talk Hazard, right?
Yeah, let's talk Hazard.
H, I hope you're watching.
Yeah,
so
have hope. We're talking
I
about your
want
boy.
all the Chelsea fans to pay attention, all the Liverpool fans, just a fan of football. We're really going to talk Hazard because me and Nick was having this conversation earlier on, and Terry rightly said, let's save it for the show. So that goal, one of the reasons I stood up is basically because I'm really ready to take in Hazard as potentially top 3. Right?
Sorry, top 3 where? Belgium
in the world.
players.
In the world.
Top 3
in the world.
Belgium.
I'm ready. Now I'm ready to entertain the conversation. It took me a while.
Mm.
I'm ready to entertain the conversation. So, I think whenever you're talking about player comparisons, I think the first starting point is both, or whoever's debating needs to determine what the metrics are. How are we measuring this, 100%. Right? So that's something that we've done off the show. Like we said, okay, how do you measure it? You mentioned it's just who you enjoy seeing play the most, right? Which is your way of doing it. I didn't ask you, but like for the sake of the show, me, what was it?
For me, it's about output. What you produce, game by game, season by season, decade by decade, if you last that long.
Yeah. So for me, I've always said you can always have your personal preferences, but I think one thing that you have to do in debate is you need to be able to have the personal response. So if you were to ask me who my favorite midfielder of all time is, it may not necessarily be the best midfielder of all time, 100%. Right? Which may align more with obviously the way you measure play ability. But I think if we're going to have this kind of conversation, and obviously we're just going to go into Hazard in a sec, if we're going to have this kind of conversation about players amongst many fans, or like a general debate, there has to be certain things that are undisputable, or not undisputable, but things that go over. So consistency and ability.
Yeah.
So
for me, those are the main, and I put consistency above ability.
Now, the only reason I would say that output is flawed is that output has a lot to do with the environment around you. Because for me, Salah isn't someone like Salah. So going back to Hazard and Salah, for example, I don't think Salah is having that kind of season in every team. And when I mean every team, I don't mean like playing for like a bad team, because that's not going to be the case until he's like way beyond his peak. But I'm talking like, let's say for example, he was at, I don't know, Bayern Munich for whatever reason, right? I think maybe the way Bayern Munich play, just as an example, may not give him the environment where you're going to be on the end. You're not going to have a Firmino that's going to vacate space for you to get those goals.
I know you use an example, but I would say that Salah wouldn't even have that season again under Liverpool, because I think he definitely overachieved last season. However, the 2 seasons that he had prior at Roma, and then you could say the ability that he showed at Fiorentina, proves the player that he is.
Yeah, so I think that actually says more about him as a player than last year.
Yeah, 100%. Right? So I'm not expecting another 34 league goals from Salah.
So going back to Hazard, right? My thing has always been Hazard has enough talent to be put in the top 3 in world football. I always said for me, he's maybe marginally below Neymar. I think at the time you could say Ronaldo ability-wise was like ahead of Hazard. I think now you can say Hazard, just in terms of ability, is as good as Ronaldo, in my opinion. I think there's an argument to say that Ronaldo may not even be behind. He may not even be top 2.
We'll put it in terms of ability. Personally, and people may disagree, I'm putting Neymar at the top. 100. No, yeah. I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. I'm putting Messi second.
I think that's a wild shit.
Of course it is, but
I had to deep in
I understand putting Hazard above Ronaldo. However, the reason why output and consistency for me comes first, because I could never say that Hazard's a better player than Ronaldo, because Ronaldo over 10 years, over 3 years, over 2 years, over a year, has proved that what he delivers on the pitch is what you pay your players for, far outweighs Hazard. Neymar, since he joined Barcelona, and if you don't want to include his Santos career, it's fine. But the period he was at Santos, he was still playing international football, which is the highest level, whatever we want to say, is the most regarded level.
Continental and international football.
When you win a World Cup, look at Modric. He didn't win a World Cup, but it's Ballon d'Or, and he got the Golden Ball, and he wins the Ballon d'Or. But Neymar's international record at the time when he was at Santos, for me, already put him among the elite players in the world.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to lie to you. They're roasting you in the
That's fine. That's fine.
I just want you
100% Chelsea. Of course they are.
Right now, you're doing a madness.
Neymar, for me, since he joined Barca, 100% has been more consistent than Hazard. So I always put him above him, because in terms of their natural ability, there's not much
when it
between
comes to ability,
finally, for me, the best midfielder in the Premier League is Kevin De Bruyne. Now, Hazard will dribble past a guy more than De Bruyne will. He will score more goals than De Bruyne will, one being that he plays further forward. But De Bruyne one is more versatile. He can play in the central midfield, which Pep Guardiola taught us. He can play wide, which he did for Wolfsburg, and he's done for Belgium on a number of levels. And he can play behind the striker, which is also done for Belgium as well. I think when he was at Chelsea at first, he played there as well. And since Pep Guardiola has been here, for me, in terms of season by season, even if not game by game, but season by season, he has produced on a more consistent level than Hazard has. He may not have won the Player of the Year in the years, but Hazard's done that, and the season after he's dropped, and then he's come back again, and the season after dropped. And for me, until he can put together a season after season, I can't put him in my top 5.
It's an interesting one. So the ability thing, I understand it, but the reason I don't use ability when I judge players overly is because from youth level right up to, and you've coached as well, so from youth level right up to established stars, ability only takes you so far. For me, I look at people that work hard. I look at people that have the right mentality on the football pitch. Things that aren't always equatable with sort of statistics, if that makes sense. It's something you can see it within them and the way that people talk about them. As an example, I put that kind of stuff in there. But I agree with the output side of things, and I don't just mean stats in terms of assists and goals. It's about dragging your team up, you being the guy that gets them over that white line. When Eden Hazard is playing like he is now, I also would put him in my top 3 in the world, no doubt about it. My issue with Hazard is that I find that he goes missing for periods of seasons or for long periods of times, and for me, but then that's, I think, it's a different debate. If we're talking about someone with pure talent, of course he's up near the top.
Yeah.
So if you look at his entire career, was he like 27 now? You know, I probably wouldn't put in the last 10 years. I probably wouldn't even put him inside the top 15 players in terms of what he's delivered over that time on a consistent basis. Yeah. What he is, though, is one of the most exciting players in the world. If not right now, maybe the most exciting player.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an argument.
And I think Mbappe is up there as well. And I think that always, and that's why these debates to me become they're not redundant. They're worth having, but I don't overly get involved with debating people individually because I just think it becomes down to preference or your matrix. A bit like when who's world class. I mean, everyone has their own matrix, and there isn't a matrix that's been created. You have to go by. You know, and I think that's the issue. Some people go by stats only. Some people go with the naked eye. Some people actually use their brain and use both, which is a good way of doing it. Again, if you look at two players and they're both aesthetically pleasing, but one outputs double the other, but then you've got to look at the factors like you say, the team they're playing in, the coach that they've got. There are lots of factors.
I think Hazard, the reason why like I think the reason why I'm more willing to entertain the idea of him being in the top 3 and him being just considered genuine world-class players, because I've always felt like the difference, you could be a talented player, but for me, that talent has to match the platform in which you perform in. So even if you're the best player in the league, the Premier League isn't the epitome of top-tier football. For me, that is Champions League football and international football. As much criticism as the World Cup has, you know, it's too many average teams, mediocre teams. I think the last World Cup has shown you, like, no, like, to win it, you have to be very, 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 very good. And 100%. I think that's the first time I've seen Hazard dominate at the level in which he's placed on. And then the way he started the season, he's deciding games as well.
It's interesting when you say that, because again, like Lukaku's getting a lot of stick at the moment, but I thought he had a really good World Cup.
He did.
So it's one of the, but then you talk about environments again, and again, this is another one of the reasons why I want a certain man removed as being manager of Man United. It's not a hatred of him. It's I want to see how I just want to see how some of these players react to a different style, a different approach. And maybe I just want to see it. We're going to take some more calls now. Listen, Arsenal fans,
we've got a super chat. As we go on to Arsenal.
Let's do this.
Ventus, maybe for Juventus, I have no idea. Ventus paid £2 for this and says, "Could Czech have saved that goal? Please discuss." I did say that to you. I didn't mention Czech, but the free kick from Brentford, for me, it wasn't in the corner. It was a right foot. It was curling towards the keeper, and Leno barely moved.
Yeah, it was.
I think a better keeper would have saved it.
Yeah, and I think that's particularly telling after the game that Czech had on Sunday. I think he was the man of the match. He was definitely my man of the match. Without his contribution against Everton, we would have easily lost that game. It's a strange one because obviously he's come in. He's been signed for significant amount of money. I had a caller call in and say, well, that's what teams have. Like, they have two keepers capable of starting. I think Barcelona really started that in the sense of they had ter Stegen and Bravo. And Bravo was fantastic for him. As much as you got critiqued in England, like he was fantastic for Barcelona. But ter Stegen was obviously at that point is a very good goalkeeper on his way to becoming a world-class goalkeeper. If you look at even PSG at the moment, they got Areola, who's been starting games recently. But we've also just signed Buffon.
Well, Man United have done Payet and
Romero, who's a number one for Argentina. So... whilst it is a trend to see goalkeepers closer in parity and ability, I did feel like the way they spoke about Leno is he came in to start. He was here to
Yeah,
replace.
I thought he was.
Yeah, and I think in all fair, we were watching the Liverpool game as well tonight, and obviously we spoke about Fabinho and maybe how he looks not off the pace. I thought he played quite well, but his first proper game of the season, there was a little bit of rustiness and a lack of sharpness at times. And you could say the same thing about Leno. He's trained hard, of course, but I think even goalies have to be, there's that match, not in terms of physically fit, but in terms of match sharpness will only come when playing games when there's actually some pressure. If he plays in an under-23 game, I really don't think he goes out there feeling nervous.
Exactly.
With all due respect. So he maybe needs these moments. I've got to work on that. So
there's been murmurings of him not being particularly impressive in training. So I think that's a potential factor. I think ultimately you've got he's not young. He's 26, so you're not talking about a young goalkeeper.
He's established.
Yeah, you're starting in the Bundesliga, and I'd like to see him.
I think we've gone past the stage where we say, people say, oh, keepers, they mature much later. I think right now the best keepers in the world they're at an age where you will consider the other best players in the world to be the De Gea's, the Courtois.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Kepa much, but he went for 71 million, so there must be something about him. They're all young or in their prime keepers. They're not 30, 33. Buffon.
Even Czech at his best was
he was
mid 20s. He was mid 20s. So I think with Leno, it's still early because we don't know what the situation is completely. So I'm not in a position to write him off. I do think that we still need to find a keeper to replace Czech. Like we can't have Czech there for more than another year or two, in my opinion.
Especially with the way that you're trying to develop.
Exactly. Like to be fair, we should be trying to replace him.
It's not fair on him. It's you can't have people there to do a job where they don't have the no disrespect to Czech. He's a Premier League goalkeeping legend, but the role of goalkeeper has changed. And with that change, you have to bring in the personnel with the tools to do it. You really do. Yeah. We've got any calls lined up, Javern? Let's get them on the air for the last 15 minutes of the show, or 5 minutes of the show. Maybe. Hello, welcome to FanPark Live. What's your name?
Yeah, my name's Tony.
Hello, Tony. Who do you support, mate?
Arsenal.
Yes, Tony.
Good. Tell us what's on your mind about tonight's results.
Right. Well, I thought it was a pretty solid game. Obviously, Robert scored 2. Good for him. This is good level for him. Who else was there? Wobie showed again some promising moves. But for me, I'm overjoyed by Lacazette. I really think he's improved. And what I've noticed about him, what's really standing out about him, is his physicality. Now, I don't know if you saw the goal today.
Yeah,
he literally
bounced off. The guy bounced off him.
Sorry, say again?
The guy bounced off him.
The guy bounced off him. That's what I'm trying to say. It's almost like dropperish. The guy bounced off him. The similar thing happened to who was the defender for the Ozil for Aubameyang's goal. Well, he was the defender that he knocked over.
Well, against Everton?
Kurt Zuma. He's not a slouch. And then if you remember the game against West Ham, he absolutely pinned down and bullied Carlos Sanchez, who was as well as about 6 foot. So I'm seeing a physicality. I'm seeing an aggression from Lacazette that he never had last year.
Yeah, he didn't have that last year. I think
first, second, third touch was beautiful.
Yeah, I think with last year he came in. Obviously, it's his first season. Some players come in and they hit the ground running immediately. Some take a bit of time to adapt. I think the conditions at Arsenal weren't great for any new player. There's no player that looked impressive last season for Arsenal, in my opinion. No player that you can say played, at a top level. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure he was carrying an injury for a significant part of that season that he had to recover from and get injured. So we never saw a true reflection of Lacazette. And it's not like he's starting games for Arsenal. Like, he's still in and out of the side. He's getting more minutes, don't get me wrong, but he's still in and out the side. But he's performing significantly better. And I think that's a positive that we can take from the season so far. We can only hope that continues. And I hope they really figure out what they're doing with our strikers up front. Are we going to play them together? Yeah. Because if you can get the most out of both at the same time, then Arsenal can feel a bit more optimistic about, achieving a top four finish.
That's what I'll ask you as well, the caller. Is it Tony?
Tony, yeah.
We've discussed already Aubameyang, Lacazette. Iwobi's had a good start to the season. Ozil, Mkhitaryan. There's options for Arsenal in what you would say is a front four in terms of 3 behind the 1 striker, which Emery likes to play. Where do you see, I would say, Lacazette and Aubameyang fitting in? And I'll put Iwobi and Ozil into that as well. Where do you see them fitting in? Does he have to change and go 2 up front? It's not his style, but is that going to be better for Arsenal?
I think I would love it, but I think we have to be realistic. He ain't going to do it. He ain't going to do it. Like, I don't remember the last time Emery's ever played 2 up front. So what I would suggest, honestly, I think obviously Lacazette and Aubameyang has to start. I mean, one thing you guys were mentioning before that I totally agreed about was when you were discussing Morata and the fact that he lacks power. You know, one of the main things you need in this league. Speed is nice, but if you don't have that accompanied with power, you're going to get overpowered. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So someone like Aubameyang, even though he's deadly, he's got speed, he gets brushed by too many. I mean, last year, I don't know if you saw the way company brushed him. Like, I wasn't comfortable with that at all. And what I'm so happy about now is, you know, we've got someone powerful up front. So Lacazette has to start up front. Aubameyang is probably not great on the left, but I think that's probably, you know, the only position he can play. What I'm looking at, guys, I think one of Ozil and Ramsey have to come out. But today I thought Ramsey actually looked pretty decent. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, the opposition is not great, but he seemed to have some chemistry with Lacazette.
Yeah, I don't disagree, mate. Listen, really appreciate that call as ever. Thank you very, very much.
Real Madrid getting slapped 3-0.
Yeah, Real Madrid getting beat by one of the best European teams there are, though, in Seville.
Yes, it's like Barca lost 2-1 earlier, and Real Madrid said, hold my bear.
To be fair, Barcelona lost in inferior side. Like Leganes started bottom of the table.
Yeah, that's more embarrassing than getting beat.
And both are away from home as well.
One thing we haven't really touched on tonight is the Naby Keita dive and how he managed to avoid a booking. A lot of people tweeting about it. It's one of the biggest trending things on like Hazard, the biggest trending thing, followed by Naby Keita. And I thought it was because Naby Keita got stripped and brushed off by Hazard. It's not. It's because he dived. What did you make of that incident? Because, you know, Liverpool fans were very angry when Salah was accused of diving against Crystal Palace, made out like their players don't dive.
They were very angry. Was it Kane or Ali? One of them two apparently dived in the 2-2 last year.
Yeah.
And they don't let us forget that. For me, definite dive, and it should have been booked. The referee was certain at the time. He said no penalty. And when you look at it, I think it might have been Cahill, stuck his leg out, brought it back in, and Keita played for the contact. And the only contact was made was when Keita basically moved himself towards the defender and dropped on the floor, appealed for the penalty. It wasn't the same as I think it was it Sturridge later? It could have been, I can't remember, who went through down the right hand side and slipped. And it might be Shaqiri actually. Shaqiri. But that was a slip. But he appealed for a penalty as well. So it's like, did he try and con the referee, or was he just appealing because he no longer had contact with the ball? But Naby Keita for me should have been booked. I'm not sure how he got away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to put that question out there because I just think it's people are asking it in the comments. We thought we'd go through it. A few people in my comments asking where's Bianca tonight.
Yes, Bianca, where are you?
People that phone up or tweet to troll, they only do it when their team wins.
Let me tweet her quickly.
Yeah, see what she's doing. See if she'll come on the air and say, hey. Let's do a few of these live comments here that we can see. This guy didn't, lol, this guy, Mohammed, who's a Liverpool fan, says, lol, this guy, I think he's talking about Unique, didn't watch the game.
Well, I already stated I mainly watched the Liverpool game, but I had the Arsenal game there as well.
We're watching both. We're watching both, and we can multitask. Men can do that. Yes, we can. We proved it tonight.
Don't be sexist.
Let's see a few more comments here. When Kevin De Bruyne comes back in November and we start ticking, we're going to smash it, is what the Magician says. Thank you for that comment. Great, well done. Klopp hates the Mickey Mouse Cup, is what Kevin Hart says. Liverpool fans are not bothered if we go out. Kaylin says, I support Liverpool, and I must say today they beat us fair. And it's good to hear a lot of people saying it just Hazard beat us, or it was, you know, goal was offside, whatever. You know, take the L, take the defeat. See a few more comments that we can see here. Lacazette is starting to improve a lot, to be honest, is what the Don has to say.
Yeah, and I think him coming from the reality, he came from a weaker league. He came from the French league, where he's now probably experiencing things that he wouldn't get in the French league in terms of the types of defending.
But people say that, but like, I would say the athletes in the French league are like just as good.
Yeah, but I think it's difficult, mate. I remember having a conversation with a different league to the Premier League, but I had a conversation with Ruben Neves and Diego Jota after they played about 3 championship games, and I remember saying to them, like, what's the difference between here and Portugal? And they said technically it's not, it's easier than obviously they were playing in Porto, but he goes, it feels like you get, the actual words were, you get assaulted on the football pitch here. Now, there isn't as much that goes on in the Premier League, but I think that type of physicality
the
is very,
intensity
very,
and the aggression
different, and the speed of it is there.
higher here.
And I think it's interesting. You speak to a lot of players that struggle, and a big thing they talk about is like they feel overpowered by it because there is more of that. And it's why on a European level, and I even think on an international level for a while, like England had loads of problems, and the English teams have had problems before. But I think sometimes, especially in the 90s, we struggled in European competitions because we tried to play with that same mentality. You can't, the tackle, you pulled up for more fouls. You know, I remember watching Peter Crouch play a lot of football, and he was always pulled up on international duty for like the way he jumped up and leaned on people. Where in the Premier League, he got away with it every week. And I think there are those subtle differences that I think we're getting better at with the English game. But some players, they do find time to adapt. And again, I go back to Patrice Evra. Evra said the hardest thing he had to deal with in England was the fact that there was like 12:30 and 1:30 kickoffs. And then for breakfast, he was having to eat dinner. And he said it made him feel sick because in France, he wasn't ever having to do that. So even the time of day you kick off and the difference in diets and food, all those things, I think, play a part. And when you move countries, like, let's not forget, like, I've moved country. It's really hard. I've lived in, it was even easier for me. I moved to a foreign country that spoke English, and even then it was like, I miss home. Like, it's difficult, and I think people don't always. It's different to when you go away to uni and it's like an hour drive away. You can just come home if you
come
want
back
to.
on the weekend, get your food, get your clothes washed,
and people think
hi.
these footballers, because they're millionaires, it's easy. Like, having worked in football, it's not. Some of them, like, again, a lot of them come and they might spend the first 6 months in a hotel until they find a home. There's loads of things that play. Plus, for Lacazette, as you say, he was playing under Wenger, and that was toxic last year.
Kane, I've got a question for you, and there's a few comments in the on the YouTube. It says Arsenal are shaky, but are getting results. That's a good sign. And I think I've seen another one as well.
Yeah.
Ramon, I was going to ask him, but obviously we have to move on because he said Arsenal are playing well. And I don't think Arsenal are playing that well.
I wouldn't say.
Everton game, for example.
I wouldn't say.
Easily have been.
I wouldn't say we're playing well. If I'm being completely honest with you,
do you see much difference right now between?
The
goalkeepers having to pass out. Do you see much difference in your play?
I see a difference. I see a difference, but I don't.
Because Wenger's banned, so I'll just say Arsene.
Yeah, it's more of it's more of. No, I think it's okay to talk about him within context, right? And we're not even talking about him. We're talking about Emery and what he's done at Arsenal so far. I see a difference, but I can't say I see much of an improvement now. It's an improvement on last year, but last year was a woeful season for Arsenal. But if you were to compare it to maybe even the year prior to where we started off pretty well, this is when we had Xhaka come in and he's playing with Santi, and then we had Ozil playing behind Sanchez, and then we had who was playing on the left side? Iwobi on the left, Walker on the right. Like, I think that was the last time Arsenal looked impressive, and even that was for a short period. We look different. It's still very early. It's the ideas. I think a lot of it was also just the quality of players available. I think playing at the back will be much more effective with a different goalkeeper, with two superior centre backs. I don't think Socrates and Mustafi should be playing together. Neither should I think.
He hasn't got much choice because Koscielny's obviously injured.
Yeah, so they shouldn't. Not only shouldn't they be playing together, ideally neither of them should be starting either. Right?
Oh, wow.
I think I've been more impressed with Liechtenstein at right back than Bellerin, but I think Liechtenstein's just a more accomplished right back anyway. We still need to figure out what our best centre midfielder is. When we had the show on Sunday,
Torreira for me should start.
Yeah, Torreira starts.
Yeah, I think he will starting.
Yeah. I think he will be starting as one of our centre midfielders. But I also think we should really consider starting him with Guendouzi. I think there's a shout to.
It seems like he does like Xhaka.
And I
see how long it lasts.
So I don't think we figure out what our right midfield, what our right defence is. I still, going back to our conversation about Aubameyang and Lacazette, we still haven't figured that out. So there's a lot to figure out. So I'm just being very, very patient this year.
And that's what needs to happen. It's such a real building job. Question here I've got for you, Nick.
He's my brother.
I can't believe someone wrote this. Do you think Zidane could make Phil Jones as good as Sergio Ramos?
Well, first thing I'll say about Phil Jones is that Toby Alderweireld would have scored that penalty, so we should have shined him in the summer. But no, that's the bottom line. Phil Jones is no more than a backup defender at Manchester United. For me, if our two second choice defenders were Smalling and Jones, that doesn't mean Bailly and Lindelof should be first choice. But if they were our second choice, that would be cool. But neither of them, should I say, are Premier League winning defenders.
No, they're not.
Well, I mean, Wes Morgan is so.
I mean,
yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And I hear you.
But yeah, that's exceptional circumstances. But I think, yeah, like, it's funny that you guys.
And I don't know who asked that
but
question
the thing
because
is-
they were clearly trolling.
Yeah.
Ramos would have scored that penalty as well. He's a very good. He's Real Madrid's penalty taker.
Yeah. But
Him and
it's
Benzema.
interesting that that guy brings up Phil Jones because it goes back to what I think about Mustafi and Socrates. I think they could be in a Premier League winning squad.
Yeah.
But if you literally thought
If you're relying on
I'm
them,
trying to
you
win a
really got
title, so I'm
problems.
going to sign Phil Jones or Shokran Mustafi.
At one point, Phil Jones was talked about the next John Terry when
John Terry, they talked about him being Duncan Edwards when he first broke through.
Well, but this is the thing with potential, isn't it? You said about ability. He had the ability and the potential to go in and do that, but it's where you run with it and then the progression that comes over. That's why you always get these kids that break onto the scene at 17, 18. And it's not until you sometimes get the news articles I do read, it's where it's like, where are they now?
Yeah.
And you read, they sometimes put an article about the player from 10 years ago and then where they're at now, and you think, wow, it really didn't work out for you. And some of them like, legit got opportunities. It just
Hold
doesn't.
on. Sorry to bring. Guys are getting onto me for shouting on Socrates. Listen, Arsenal fans, hey, I got smoke.
Listen,
for you,
they
man.
said he's a beast. He's a beast.
I got smoke for you, man. So these are the guys, yeah. Wait, hold on. Every time I've seen Socrates play, and this is, I'm not even trying to focus on Socrates right now, yeah. But do you know how many clear-cut chances we've conceded since every game this season? Because it's not, number one, the issue of starting Mustafi and Socrates is they're both very similar defenders. Not in just ability, but style. You can't have two guys that always want to go hunting for the ball. You need a defender, number one.
But surely you can play one, because would you not? Who would you put better, Socrates or Mustafi?
Socrates is better than Mustafi.
Oh, okay, just checking.
Yeah, Socrates is better than
Mustafi's
Mustafi.
trash.
But there was a reason why Everton were able to create chances for fun.
Yeah.
In the first half, and then when Socrates came off, it wasn't because Holding is a better defender than Socrates. It's because it's a better balance in defence. Because you've got Mustafi who's a bit more aggressive in the challenge and in terms of positioning, and you've got Holding, whether it's because he's not as athletic as Mustafi, who's a bit more conservative and he's more covering style. Same way, if Mustafi was the one to have come off injured, Arsenal still had looked equally as good and not conceded clear-cut chances because you got a better balance. So number one, it's the combination of centre-backs, but even still, if we are going to challenge for a Premier League title anytime soon, we have to sign defenders and midfielders and attackers of world-class ability. We have that in midfield. We have that in attack. We do not have it in defence. Right? So that's it's not so much a critique on Socrates as an individual because he's been good. He's been good at Dortmund. Yeah. But it's if we want to make that jump where look at what Van Dijk has done for Liverpool.
Mate, I could not agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. We're going to take our final call of the night. When Javerne puts it through. Hey, hello, welcome to FanPark Live. What's your name?
Hi, Terry. It's Wasim.
Hello, Wasim. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing? You okay?
I'm very well. Did you remind everybody who you support?
I support Manchester United. I spoke to you the other day. We were talking about Manchester United being a bit of a business and not a football team.
I remember that conversation. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, fab stuff. Anyway, I don't want to. Obviously, I mean, I've called in to talk about Manchester United.
Okay.
Just want to say Hazard's goal. What an unbelievable goal that was. You know, respect to him.
Brilliant goal.
A classy finish. That's the world class player. Anyway. Yesterday, I missed your FanPark live show, so I watched it afterwards. And there was a caller on there that called to discuss something about Jose Mourinho being cancer. I'm sure you remember the conversation.
Yep, I do, yep.
Yeah. Anyway, after today's training ground footage that I've seen and everything, so I'm going to be straight up with you. Do I back Jose? Yes, I do. Do I support Jose? Yes, I do. Do I think Jose has the right mentality to win the Premier League? Yes, I do. However, have the board provided him the utensils that he needs to be successful, to be Jose Mourinho, in inverted commas, the special one? No, I don't. I don't think so whatsoever. Have the players, has that pressure impacted the players? Of course it has, because he's demanding certain things from the players that the players are not capable of doing. And the players probably want to play a completely different way to what he's asking, and obviously there's a big fallout. There's a big bust up in the changing room. Unfortunately,
as you stated yesterday, it's not a quick fix. We need to sort out the board. We need to have a director of football in place. We need to then have a manager that's in line with that. And it all needs to happen. And it takes probably about 2 years, because if you think about it, with Pellegrini in charge of Man City at the time, they had already pre-prepared Pep Guardiola's
all the backroom staff and everything
by making the signings that he wanted. They set up the infrastructure that he wanted, and then when he moved in his first season, he came fourth. In the second season, he's come, he won the league. So essentially, it's a 2.5 year program that United need to employ. Are they capable of doing it? Of course they are, because we've got the financial clout to go and do whatever we wish to do. However, in this particular circumstance, I have to say now, Jose Mourinho has become it's become toxic. He's not become toxic. The relationship itself has become toxic. And for the greater good of Manchester United and for him, he needs to be extracted from the situation, because he's the binary component between players and the board. He's the one in the middle. He's been sandwiched between two he's between a rock and a hard place, basically. And he needs to be taken out, because I think only then will you start to see the players. Because the players, yesterday the question was on tactics. The tactics are not wrong. Had Lukaku scored, you never would have questioned Mourinho's tactics. I just don't think the players have the desire to play for him anymore. There's no heart.
Look,
and that's what we're lacking.
Do you know what? Look, I think he touched on a lot of things there. Myself and Chris were talking off air, and this is Chris's comment. I'm going to give him the credit for it. And he just said, look, and I think it rounded up a lot of what I said yesterday into a nutshell. If you have a board, a certain group of players, and the manager kind of all pulling in different directions in terms of footballing philosophy, in terms of the types of players they want to bring in. When you don't have a group of people all pulling in the same direction, it doesn't make a conducive environment for success. And there was a comment when you were talking that said something like, "What do you mean Jose weren't supported? They've spent 370 million." And again, the rebuttal to that is you only have to listen to very clued up people to know that particular signings, Pogba being one of them, Sanchez being another, that didn't cost any money up front, but in terms of salary, and Lukaku, those three players are very well regarded as not being Jose Mourinho's players that he wanted. They were commercial signings. They were one of them came in as a bit of a deal to get Pogba as well. And I think that I think what you said is right. If you're not going to let Jose Mourinho be the complete Jose Mourinho that he is, you're not going to yield success. And I always had faith in Jose to whoever he signed, I was happy with, because again, I go back to what he did at Porto and at Inter, where he was given complete control, and he picked the right people and he built the right things. It wasn't working at Man United, and people say his tactics are out of date, and I just think, well, they're not. He just doesn't have the players that want to play that way, and the board are allowing those individuals to get away with disrespecting the manager and not putting a shift in, because if we had a man, it just doesn't make sense to me. So the whole thing, I think you're right, is crumbling because there isn't a unity, there isn't a philosophy that everybody's agreed to. And again, I don't dislike Jose Mourinho. I have no hatred for him at all. My point of view is this: I want to play better football. I want to keep the players on side, and I just think what they need to do is start again, as you've said. And my analogy is this, right? If in 2 years' time you've got these cracks in the wall in your house and you plaster them over, and 2 years later those cracks come back in the same place but they're even bigger, and you plaster over them again, and in another 2 years they're back in the same place but even bigger again, there comes a stage where you realise actually we've got to go behind the wall and find out what's creating these cracks, because you can keep just plastering them over with a new manager, but it isn't going to fix the problem. And I think that
let me give it. I know it's another analogy, and I think this is one of the best I've heard. If you've got a pain, let's say in your head that you got a headache, and you keep taking painkillers, it soothes the pain for a while, but then the pain's going to come back, because if that pain is a tumour, unless you get rid of that tumour, papering over the cracks, taking a painkiller to resolve the problem in the interim doesn't get rid of the problem. And I think at the moment you could say there's a tumour running through Manchester United, whether it be from the board or wherever your analysis might take you, that unless you deal with the problem, it's going to keep creeping up, and it's going to become fatal.
I completely agree with everything that you're saying there. But what I don't agree with, and I tell you, this is as a United fan, I don't agree, and I don't agree with it with any football club. And I didn't agree with Arsenal when they were shouting Wenger out. I don't agree with people shouting Jose out. I don't agree with people hurling abuse at Pogba. I just don't agree with abuse, full stop, because I think we as educated individuals should be able to rise above it, understand that there is obviously, different factions amongst the clubs, all these clubs, where, they're not aligned with the board or the players or the manager, and, everyone's got their own little wavelength going on. And we should understand that, take a step back and just still support the club regardless, because it's the support of the club that will make the club grow and become bigger than what it actually is. And this is what United are based on. We're based on support. So support your players, support the manager, irrespective of whether you agree with what they're doing, because Mourinho will want to do his best. He's not going to join Manchester United to fail, is he? Pogba's not joined Manchester United to not win trophies. They've all joined to do the same thing. The goal is the same. They're just going about it in different ways. And because they're going about it in different ways, it's causing conflict. And that conflict is then becoming issues that the media are pouncing upon. And the three culprits, Pogba, Mourinho and Ed Woodward. They're the three people that are probably named in the newspapers more than anyone over the past 3 months.
No, mate, I agree with you. And for me, the reason I don't want Jose there anymore is because, again, I want the football to be better. And if you're gonna make an overhaul, you might as well bring in a manager that's going to play a more attractive style of football. Because I think we had this discussion off air, and I think if Man United go away and I'd love that. Okay, I know we want to win major trophies, but if we go away and the new ethos is right, we want to become the greatest footballing side in the world. I think if Man United, with our power, start playing some of the best football on the planet, we're going to win trophies doing that anyway. Listen, really appreciate that call, mate. Thank you very much.
No problem, Terry. You take care. Have a good evening. Take care, guys.
Thanks for your call.
Take it easy, bro.
Thank you.
Before we close off, Terry, I know you're going to be doing a video later on the whole Manchester United situation, but all I would say is that people do their research, which people don't like to do. They like to take headlines and clickbait and something that's buzz, and then make a whole analysis of a situation. In terms of the training ground one, obviously we've spoken off air. I know you're going to do your research, but people need to do their research about exactly, you could say, what happened, or the outcome and the reasons for what we saw on the training ground. And it's more than just Mourinho has an agenda against Pogba, or Pogba disrespects the manager. There's much more to it.
Of course. I think what was interesting with yesterday's story that came out about Jose telling him he'll no longer be, never captain the team again, everybody focused on that part of the quote from the inside Carrington source. And a lot of people, including the media, ignored the second line in the quote from whoever this source is, that he did it in front of his teammates, and his teammates agreed with the decision. And again, it doesn't mean that these people hate Paul Pogba. Some of them are his close friends, but I do think there is a toxic atmosphere in that dressing room, and something needs to be done. But as you say, people don't do their research. They find the information that suits their agenda. Like I said to you earlier, we looked into you looked into the Jose thing and told me, and although it's not as sinister as people make out the training ground bust up today. Equally, I said, well, yeah, Jose should have had his facts straight before he does what he did. And again, I'm someone who defends Jose, but I will say he got it wrong in that environment. I don't think enough people do that. If they dislike Jose, it's always his fault. If they dislike Pogba, it's always his fault. And I think that the fans, the polarization of the fans is terrible. But that's because too many of them read newspapers. It really is.
And my final point would be that Bianca.
Stop making points.
Bianca did not get back to us, and she has not followed the fans' call for her to call in today. So maybe we'll hear from her later.
Listen, man, say what you want to say about that Hazard thing. That shit was hilarious. That shit was hilarious to watch. When I saw that, I was busting up for a good 4 hours at work. Because you know why?
What Hazard thing?
No, it's not the Hazard thing, the Pogba thing. Sorry.
Okay. I'm
moving mad right now. I'm moving mad. I'm sorry. Because you know when a man is walking away from you and he's nodding his head like, yo, like that's people from the culture, you understand what I mean?
East London?
No, not in East London. I don't know about this East London business. I've not even been there for half of a year. What I'm saying is that when
from East London, bro.
No.
Proper Cockney.
Yo, you lot. Oh, fuck up this whole studio.
Can
right
you hear
now.
the Bow Bells from where you live, bruv?
I'm doing a lot right now. Hey, yo, Jimmy, cut this shit. Cut their mics. Cut their mics. Keep my mic on. Cut their mics on the East London.
This is my show, boy. I ain't messing.
Javon, you let him talk to you like that, boy?
What's he gonna do?
Joy, cut the stream, just mid-sentence, just cut in that show.
Tell him.
Don't
You tell us.
Don't end the show.
You
We're
tell us.
talking. We're talking about Hazard.
No, Pogba.
We don't know what we're talking about.
We were talking enough about Pogba. Hey,
No, you said you laugh. I couldn't laugh because I've been.
That shit was
I've been in a
hilarious.
deep dark depression.
that shit was funny.
So
Since Phil Jones missed the
laughed at
penalty.
it because the way Pogba looked at him.
He looked at him like he was about to. Like, are you?
No, but it was like because from now that we've done our research and before people are going to do it, Pogba looked at him and say,
What the hell are you
"Why?"
talking about?
Like he couldn't understand why he did it, and then. What's happened is basically someone has told someone who is in a position of power of Man United has told Jose Mourinho the wrong information.
Yes.
Has basically said that Paul Pogba broke a rule about social media. So Jose has told him to leave training because he's broken rules. And then someone else has been called over to say, actually, we gave you the wrong information, Mr. Mourinho, and he didn't do it.
Because the way Pogba's talking to man is like, if it
was in the end, you're looking like he's
gonna look him like he's gonna do him something.
But he knows that he can't, obviously. But he's like, what?
That made me feel so good to see that. I was just like, yes.
I just thought Pogba
Free Labille,
free Paul. I just thought Pogba looked more.
Nah. See, that's
confused in anything.
That's why you need to come to South London so you'll be able to read the signs properly.
No.
If a man talks, listen.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's say me and you have a conversation. You say something to me I don't like, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even trying to get into a madness, innit? But I'm talking shit and I'm nodding my head like I'm doing this. That means that the moment I can do a madness, I'm going to do a madness. The way Pogba talked to Jose, I want to. I find it funny.
You don't want to do a madness with me.
I find it funny, that the lip reading was only on Mourinho and no one actually broke down what Paul Pogba says. I find that very interesting because I want to know what. I know there was definitely a bit of like, what are you talking about? But he definitely said something to him. Like,
I didn't think Jose
keep talking
Mourinho,
shit.
because he's an old man and smaller. Jose didn't look scared. Like,
No.
It's not
But Jose was very.
It's not about scared. No. It's not about like I'm gonna do something. It was more like, yo, keep talking. Like this is like it's gonna be player coach.
I'll be
very
good.
different.
Keep talking. I'll be going in January anyway.
Yo, yeah. That's how he was talking, bro. That's how he was talking.
Keep joking. I'll take you Croydon. That's what he was thinking. There we go. Nothing wrong with Croydon.
Pogba can come corners still.
Yeah, he prefers
Mr.
London.
Mr. Star DJ. These are definitely road, man. Boy, maybe talking about Terry.
If you come to Leighton and
Not
Stone
me,
Do I look like a roadman
Talk
in
to
my
Terry, me.
in my
Boy.
£300? It's only £300 suit. It's not even expensive.
Is that £3,000 suit? Wow.
300. It's a cheap suit.
Hey,
Cheap suit.
Javon, I thought you were gonna boss up, bro.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna boss up.
Javon ain't gonna do nothing.
Bro,
I'm gonna Conor McGregor. He'll do nothing. He'll do nothing. Do nothing.
This guy, bro.
He'll just shit on the boss.
Laugh for nothing, bro.
You know what he said?
Yeah, the way Conor McGregor handled Khabib,
Was it I thought it was Diaz.
No, it's Khabib. He's
When he
fighting.
said you do nothing.
Yeah, no, but he was literally.
Javon, don't put bass on your voice now, bro. Don't put bass
That's
on your
the
voice.
deepest I've ever heard your voice. Javon's voice was so deep, I thought his wife had turned up. That's what I thought happened.
Javon, you gotta cut him.
Yo, he's got Tim's on, you know. Hey, watch out, bro. A man got Tim's on and he's not in New York.
He bought them Tim's in Mothercare.
All I'm gonna say is, if you do not see Terry on the next show, it means Javon's finished.
Javon's giving me that Pogba look. I'll get a Pogba look.
I'm dead.
Take care, good night. God bless everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.
I'm dead. Oh, that was jokes. Fuck.
Real fan opinions brought to you by Wash and Go.